And we're coming to you live from the lab, Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, CP3 live from the lab, with DujunneaB Bland on the phone, on the mic, breaking down victory Monday. Redskins beat the Cardinals 24-6. You chimed in and saw our post-game live last night. You know what we was talking about. You know, we dipped and dabbed a little bit into some of the offensive and defensive things. But as we always do, we're going to break down each position and how we felt they played in this game and take any of your questions or comments or calls. As I mentioned, got the Facebook Live feed going, so be sure to chime in with any questions or comments. You can always call into the True Radio Network hotline, 347-884-9299 with any questions or comments. And you can pick the brain of my main man, DujunneaB. So, DujunneaB, we dibble-dabbled a little bit on it yesterday, but let's really break down this game position by position. We already talked about Alex Smith and, you know, what he brings to the table and how he performed. I mean, he had a 80 QBR and a 115 quarterback rating. What more can we say about this dude and how he performed yesterday? To me, he was cool, calm, and collected, stayed poised, broke the pocket when he needed to, got rid of the ball when he needed to. I mentioned the 3 sacks. You know, that's going to happen sometimes, you know, especially with Arizona's pressure defense. But what did you see from Alex, and how did you think he fared in this game?
What we've always seen throughout his career, professionalism is the word that I'll use there. The level of professionalism with him is second to none. He's very well prepared, and you saw that. He makes sure everybody else is around him is prepared. I thought he made, as always, makes smart decisions with the football, gets the ball to his open guy. There was maybe 1 or 2 times that, that I believe it was either Crowder or and on one play, and then it was Jordan Reed on another that he threw the underneath route a little quickly. But with that being said, it still was a positive game. And again, he's not about taking sacks if he doesn't have to, as you saw, getting rid of the ball and trying to throw it away to not lose yardage, especially when they made so many positive gains on the field. So just very smart with the football, and a guy who, again, is very professional. And you really saw that not just with him, but with the entire team yesterday.
I agree. I can't argue with anything you said. Now we got to go to the offensive line that, in my opinion, played the hell of a game. Over 180 yards rushing the ball. I mentioned the 3 sacks. But all in all, they controlled the line of scrimmage. Jay allowed them to control the line of scrimmage by running the ball. And I got to give credit where credit is due. The left guard, Sean Laval, actually had a decent game. And I got to take my hat off to you, DujunneaB, because you did mention about him being by Trent and with Roulier, who definitely impressed me at the center position yesterday. It has made him better at his position because I didn't see him get blown up as much yesterday. He was actually in control. He was actually, when he was pulling, he actually looked like he wanted to pull and was doing the job well. When he was in the trenches, he didn't back down and didn't get put on his ass like he normally was. So what was your grade on this offensive line after putting up the performance they did in week 1?
A+. From every guy on that offensive line. When Jay says he's talking about changing the mentality and knows he has to run the football more, it really helps a guy who is more his tendencies are to pass because of his creative abilities in the passing game to go pass. When you have a running back that can be successful, I think this is something that Skins fans would have seen with Geis if healthy. But this is why you bring in a guy like Adrian Peterson off the street, especially in the condition that he's in. And Jay can now, with a physical running back, a guy with great vision, other times it's to fire off at will. And that gets your offensive line going. That helps, actually, believe it or not, helps you in the passing game. You know, offensive line is like synchronized swimming, so to speak. Everybody has to be on point, or even a marching band. Everybody has to be in step, and where they need to be. Timing is important, and those guys had it, and that running game allowed them to do that. And then when you have a guy running as enthused as Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson did yesterday, that's going to fire your offensive line up even more and want to blow guys up and get their back an opportunity to take one to pay dirt. From the offensive line, they did an excellent job of maintaining and being physical. That them, along with the running back, really wore down that aggressive and physical Cardinals defense.
Agreed. Perfect segue into the running backs. We were speaking about Adrian Peterson, 24 carries, 96 yards and a touch. Chris Thompson, 6 touches, 53 yards out the backfield, 6 catches, 70-something yards in the passing game. The offensive line definitely did their thing. They allowed Adrian to run the ball. They allowed Jay to stick with the run because they were getting decent pickups. And Adrian Peterson, 33 years old, that dude still looked like he's fresh out of college with that burst and the way he put that foot in the ground and make that cut. It's just ridiculous. I love that they picked him up. You know, I'm not expecting no 1,000-yard or 1,500-yard season, but if he continues to play like he did yesterday and, aid this team and control the time of possession, which was 38 minutes to 22 minutes, which is very, very impressive. I know, Crystal, you used to feed Chris Thompson at Florida State. I remember. If I run into him, I'll remind him because I'm going to see if he remember you. But I remember. But that Chris Thompson touchdown play was something that is going to cause teams problems. Because if you line him up on a linebacker and you give him an option route, and if you watch the play, you saw how he faked inside. The linebacker took one step, it was over. Because then he went to the outside. Alex knew where they put the ball. The ball was there. He beat the safety to the corner. Touchdown. So if this team can do things like that in the red zone, I don't see an issue. What did you give the running backs grade? We already spoke about Adrian a little bit, but Rob Kelly even got in there and looked, a little bit like he wanted to had a rock and try to get some more carries. What did you take away from this running back trio, so to say, with Adrian Peterson, Thompson, and Rob Kelly?
Again, they did an exceptional job, and I'll start with Rob first. This is why Rob stayed on the team over Capri Bibbs. The guy, Jay loves him, but what you noticed in the preseason game, you noticed it yesterday, that carried over. This presence of Adrian Peterson, guys are learning from him. And if you noticed with Rob Kelly, something that he hadn't done in previous times, he's a little lower. In a couple of the areas where he didn't get a lot of gain, but he managed to lean forward, get that 1 yard, 2 yard. You see a little reminiscent of Adrian Peterson there. Physical running style, using the power in those thighs and legs, pushing forward, rolling and leaning forward to get that extra yard. Even though he was stuffed, you have to like what Kelly is learning and applying, and that helps also with him losing the weight. Adrian Peterson, right off the top, he is as advertised. When he came in for the workout, it was very clear out of all the guys, and I was very high on Orleans Darkwa, but when you have Adrian Peterson in there and he's looking pretty much fresh out of college, and again, he's getting a lot of kudos from Trent Williams as well as they work out together. This guy is still all of what he used to be, and he never was a guy that had a breakaway speed, but he was physical, and he really got to those long runs for touchdowns touchdowns because of his physicality. And you saw that on Sunday. He allows a strip and a fumble there. He knows that he can't do that. I wouldn't expect that to happen again. He's very critical of himself and what he needs to do to help this team win. And he looks exceptional. Chris Thompson looks like Chris Thompson did last year. I've been high on Chris since Florida State days. Watched him at Florida State and been high on him as much as people and especially local media talk about being injury prone, which is horse crap. This guy is picked up right where he left off, and if you ask me, he looks faster. I really think he looks faster. He looks a lot more elusive, a lot more quick twitched, so to speak. You saw that on that in and out for the touchdown. With this combination, again, you have Adrian Peterson wearing guys down with this physicality. You see Chris Thompson with a little physical nature to himself as well. But you got Peterson laying the boom, and then that elusive, quick speed of Chris Thompson being able to shake loose and shake guys and get out in the open field. That's going to be a tough combination to stop. And you saw a little bit of Rob Kelly, and you still got Perine back there. So this is a very interesting backfield, and Adrian Peterson provides the Redskins something that they haven't really had in a physical runner probably since Clinton Portis. And so you see now Jay can do a lot more on offense with having a solid running game.
I give you that. I can honestly give you that because Adrian, he is a one cut and go guy, and that's what you need with Jay's type of offense. So I'm happy that he's here. I was telling everybody to chill out when they was going crazy when they signed him, but it is what it is. Quick comments on the post. Slim Montana said they're gonna not gonna quote him, but he said the team is gonna kick some butt this year and years to come. I'll leave it at that. You can read the comments on the feed. This is a family-friendly show. I'm not trying to go down that road. Brian said Thompson would be the best receiving back in the league right now. I mean, he's always had that skill. Like I said, the injury. I mean, when they say injury prone, he going back to the Florida State days. I researched him. He had the broken back. He blew out his knee, and he had a couple of injuries here. So it's just good to keep him healthy and keep him playing well. And he's an asset to this team. So hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully we continue to run the ball and, keep it diverse. We're definitely going to talk about Jay's play calling a little bit later in this segment. But let's go ahead and go into the I see I got Robbie on the line. I know he wanted to chime in real quick. He said he had a few minutes to spare. So let me see if I can get Robbie on here real quick. Sorry for the Facebook Live. People not used to having my phone doing this. But, Robbie, how you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing great. I figure it's a victory Monday. I know that I'm not a full-time host right now. I've been busy with Zach, but I was so excited about the Redskins. I had to call in just for a couple of minutes, and as you guys were talking about, you've been great so far, breaking down all the great time of possession, and I just love sticking with the running game. Is something that all of us have been trying to clamor for the last couple of years, but obviously with someone like Adrian Peterson, as long as he doesn't put the ball on the floor too many more times, he's going to be really important for us. And I'm so excited that we've got a plethora of backs behind them. So I know that people are really worried about whether or not Adrian Peterson will get injured this year. And I'm hoping he stays healthy. He's obviously very productive when he stays healthy. But I had a quick question for you guys about the injury situations to some of our wide receivers. Do you guys feel confident enough in the ones that we've got in the practice squads, I don't know if any of the final injury reports have come up. I know that we got a couple of guys that were banged up, and I know in yesterday's Facebook Live you talked about a little bit of the lack of production, and I mean the running game was working, so I understand why we didn't throw it too much. But Carol, I guess I'll start with you, but I'd also like to get DujunneaB's thoughts on the wide receiver position and whether or not we need to go out and get anybody else to shore up that spot.
Well, I was definitely going to get into the wide receivers because they basically, well, like you said, the running game was good, so they didn't necessarily need them. But there were some plays that could have been made that weren't made. And I know what you're inching about, the elephant in the room. Somebody actually messaged me about the question about should the team pick up Dez Bryant. And I'll say this with an emphatic, hell no. First of all, you got to develop the players that you have. You went out and got Paul Richardson. Jamison Crowder's a quality slot guy. Doxson, the pick that, needs to have time to develop, be on the field. You bring in a Dez Bryant. You bring in somebody that's already, going to cause distractions because he's already talking, tweeting during the game, and had some of the Dallas reporters asking the Dallas players after their game about his tweets where the player went off like, what do I care about what anybody tweets? We just lost the game. So, in my opinion, it's week one. The running game was working. That's something to give the Colts defense to think about. They're going to drop another man, an eighth man down in the box, so that might open up the wide receivers next week to have a big game. And we know the Colts defense isn't really that good. So, I think it'll be, a week where the wide receivers somebody will shine a step up going into next week because of what Adrian did, what the offensive line did, and the running game, the way it produced. What about you, DujunneaB?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I know. What I do know is Trey Quinn and Cam Sims, they have ankle sprains. Jake Gruden will be waiting to see what will come back and whether those two guys will need surgery before bringing anyone else in. And they're going to see where Mo Harris is and how long they think he will be before making that decision. So that is accurate, first heard information. They will not be making any decisions with that until they find out whether Cam Sims and Trey Quinn need to have surgery and they have high ankle sprains or ankle sprains. Dez Bryant, the word is that is not even a consideration. They're not looking at him. They're not considering him as far as they're concerned. Who is Dez Bryant? He will not be, as of now, will not be in a Washington Redskin uniform. So that is out of the question. If you want to put him and bring him onto your Madden squad, that's fine. You can do that, but he will not be on this squad. So that is not going to happen. As far as the wide receivers, I don't understand. Maybe it's not a negativity, but I don't understand the aspect of thinking that there's an issue there. Josh Doxson had a tough catch that he dropped. Could he have made the catch? Sure. He made a tougher catch. Well, he made just as tough of a catch before that. He didn't come away with it that time. You had, I believe that was it Crowder? No, that was Paul Richardson who had the penalty on him. And he still, if he had maybe two more steps when he leaped like that, he would have had that long ball catch. Overall, I thought the receivers played very well. They blocked in space, which is important and very important. It's always been important in Jay's offense. They did that. And there was really no need to use them. When you have Jordan Reed on the field, and he's open, and he's catching balls and steamrolling people. You have Vernon Davis, the smart, ageless wonder. There was really no reason for them to go to those guys. And, they were running the ball quite well, 4.3 yards a pop. Really not too many times you're going to see Alex Smith throw the football when you're doing it and doing it well. So I thought the receivers that they have are going to be fine. And will they need to bring a guy in? We'll see. They still have a few quality guys who showed up in preseason on the practice squad. And we'll see if if it's going to be one or two or none, and how long those two are going to be out as far as those sprains. So we'll see. But receiving core is very, very solid from my vantage point and the way I see it.
True.
Yeah, one last thing I wanted to talk about real quick, and then I'm going to let you guys continue your great conversation. I just wanted to point out that I was so excited for this weekend in sports, and I just wanted to give a quick couple of shout-outs. I thought that the women's tennis final was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So if anyone missed out on the U.S. Open, they should go and check that out, because Serena Williams, I've never seen anybody offend her quite like they did, and then the fallout quite like it was. But it was an incredible finals. The men's finals bracket was also incredible. I know we don't talk about tennis a lot, but I do try to let people know when there is one of the Big Four tournaments. And so that was really exciting this weekend. The college football was really exciting. I know DujunneaB's a big college football fan. I was really proud of A&M. I know that they fell to number 2 Clemson, but it was a great matchup. So that was really exciting. And I was so excited for the Mystics. I'm not sure if Carroll's mentioned it yet or he's going to, but that was an incredible second game. I'm hoping they can win their first home game ever in the NBA or in the WNBA finals, but obviously we're trying to avoid a sweep here. But it's been an incredible summer for them and the Valor and the Capitals. It's just a fun time of the sports year. I'm a little disappointed with the Nationals, obviously, but overall it was an incredible sports weekend, and it was topped off with my son Zachary getting to experience his first Washington Redskins victory. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of exciting sports this time of year, and I'm excited to come back on full-time in November, but also I just want to let people know that I'll be doing some videos upcoming from the rematch game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Capitals, the second home game of the season. I'll be there live and do some videos from there, and I'll also be on to talk more Capitals as that season gets underway as well. But I wanted to thank you both. I thought that the Facebook Live was excellent yesterday, and if people missed any of that, they can always check out our website, SportsOTHP.com, for all the great stuff, including the boxing and great show that Carol had on Thursday, and then they can also check out my picks for the whole season. I did that on Hertz House. I posted that link on there as well, and then I also posted all of our thoughts on all of the games from Carol and DujunneaB and myself and some of my friends, so people want to follow along with our picks throughout the year, they can do that too. But I wanted to tell you guys how much I appreciate it, and how excited I am for the Redskins season. And even though I was wrong yesterday in my pick, I'm very excited for the season. I'm now even more excited than I was before, because finally we started off the season right under Jay Gruden.
No doubt. All right, Robbie, appreciate you chiming in. We're going to get back to breaking down this victory and looking forward to the Colts game next week. Appreciate you taking the time, and we'll holler at you later on, man.
Sounds good. Have a great night, guys.
All right.
You too.
All right, just going back to a couple of questions on Facebook Live. Slim Montana, you just missed it. We talked about Cam Sims. He has they're evaluating to see if it's a high ankle sprain, to see if he's going to have surgery. Where they're not talking about picking up Dez Bryant at all, so don't even worry about that. And getting back to breaking down the by positions, the tight end position, we saw Jordan Reed get an impressive touchdown to help solidify this game. I thought the blocking by him and Vernon Davis was definitely improved, which helped the running game, which you mentioned about the wide receivers blocking on the outside. And all in all, I was impressed by the offense as a whole unit, being the way they looked in the preseason and being the way they came out and executed against a high-pressure defense that was looking to make a statement game under a new coach, and they ran the ball down their throats and wore them out till there was nothing else they could do. So what did you take away from the tight ends in this game?
They played well. Their blocking's improved. Been saying it all off season how healthy Jordan Reed is, and it showed on Sunday. And he can continue whatever new process he's going through as far as taking care of his body. He should be, he could have a pretty phenomenal year. So those guys are playing well. And again, we only saw two get involved, and Sprink hasn't can do, and they really didn't show too much on Sunday at all.
No, they didn't show a lot, but they did show some wrinkles that I did like. We mentioned on the post game, the bringing the wide receiver around on an end around, the fake reverse. That gives the defense something to think about. Alex Smith being more mobile and more willing to break the pocket when he doesn't see something instead of standing there like a deer in the headlight. So I definitely like what I saw from the offense. And now let's get to my favorite side of the ball, the defense, with the front seven. As I mentioned yesterday, I would have liked to see more pressure. 2 sacks, 2 turnovers, 6 points given up. I'm not saying I was disappointed. I just wanted to see more. And especially with the additions on the D-line, I wanted to see the linebacker. I wanted to see Ryan Kerrigan and Preston Smith get more pressure on the quarterback, which I didn't really see. DujunneaB, you mentioned yesterday, you saw they were doing certain things to shade toward Ryan, so he couldn't get that free run. But as a whole, I like what the defense did. 6 points given up. I would have liked to shut out. But all in all, the defense played well. What did you take away from the front seven with the defensive line and the linebackers?
The front seven as a whole, there's some things I'd like to see as far as gap responsibility. I thought at times linebackers were out of position, allowed for some of those little pops that Johnson was able to get there a few times. I like to see linebackers covering backs in space, and I'm talking about Mason and Visual. Getting in position a little bit earlier. Don't allow them to come out of the break, get 2 steps on you, and then you're ready to move. Because we all know they're good cover linebackers, but if a guy gets separation on them, they don't have Deion Sanders, Josh Norman, Dunbar, whatever type speed. You ain't closing on anybody. So you need to be right there. When they make the break, they need to be where they need to be. Cut them off at the pass. Baiting the quarterback is cool, but if you can't close, that's a completion. So I'd like to see a little bit better work there. Again, I don't necessarily agree with the pressure. It's been Bradford's forte to get the ball out quickly, and they were doing a lot of that. And when they had some opportunities to hold on to the ball because there really wasn't a lot of guys open downfield, those guards, those tackles were, especially on Ryan Kerrigan's side, were taking some steps back and basically allowing him to make contact with him and then just riding him deep and saying, by the time you get past me, my quarterback's going to step up in the pocket, and more than likely that ball's going to be gone. And you may brush him, but you're not going to bring him down with the ball. So I understood what they were doing there. And with them running inside like that, there was a lot of things that the Skins were trying to do as far as taking away the outside run. So there were so many different things within inside the game that was going on, especially between the Redskins defensive line and the Cardinals offensive line. There's definitely a lot of improvement. Tackling was a problem for me, especially early in the game, mainly within the front seven. I thought the secondary did an excellent job of making tackles, coming up, making tackles when necessary, making tackles in open space, and when balls were caught on them, they pretty much brought those guys down fairly quickly. So I thought they did an excellent job with that. Those type of things in the front seven I like to see cleaned up. But you saw Payne making his presence felt, making some stops in the run when they tried to run up the middle there, doing his job. Maybe they could scheme a little bit differently, but I don't think at that time and during that game, once they saw what they were doing the first couple of series, I don't think Minuski was too concerned about throwing too many things out there because they just simply didn't need to. They had made them a one-dimensional after the offense had gone up 14. Then once you go up 21, you know how this goes. running ain't such a priority anymore because you got to get points on the board to at least try to close the gap before the half. Redskins did an excellent job offensively, clock control. So, just small things. I wouldn't give them too high of a grade, but there's some things that they can improve on, and Mason Foster made that comment along with a few other guys, Dunny and a couple other guys made those comments about, there's some things they got to clean up, but definitely a good start. But you can have that start because the offense is able to take time off the clock, put points on the board, and that applies pressure to the opposing offense to make something happen, to try to close the gap and get it into a more of a manageable situation to where they don't have to panic. So kudos to Jay and the offense for their execution and really taking the pressure off the Redskins defense.
Most definitely, because the defensive lady was out there just relaxing, doing their thing, just knowing their role and knowing their assignment, swarming to the ball. Like you mentioned, the secondary, when somebody did get the ball on the outside, they made the tackle. Wasn't a lot of yak. It was, tackling was solid by them. I agree the missed tackles by the linebackers was a little, too much for me. I want to see solid tackles. If you want to hit them later wood, wrap them up and throw them down. Don't try to just make a highlight reel, shoulder tackle to try to put somebody down, especially when you got these NFL athletes that's used to that and bouncing off folks like a ping pong ball. So it's definitely a huge upside to this defense. You mentioned, you made a good point about once they were up 14-0, 21-0, really wasn't no need to, up the ante because for what? So I'm definitely anxious to see next week against the Colts, which we can get ready to break down and preview that game a little bit, since I know you're going to probably work on the article once you get the articles out from this week. I know you probably got some preview articles for the Colts game. But they lost yesterday. Andrew Luck looked like he's back in, his form. Took a couple of hits, broke the pocket, looked like he's good, good to go. They took a bad loss coming in next week. Redskins home opener. Redskins looking to go 2-0 on the season. What do you expect for this matchup?
I expect the Redskins, especially on the first drive, to do what they did early in the Cardinals game. They're going to run the football. They're going to see how they can impose their will as far as the offensive line goes. I do think there's more opportunities to if you guys were paying attention closely, and I believe it's like second or third drive in that third quarter, they had a couple finicky seemed like they were a little rattled on offense. And you see Jay go with he runs to the right, then he comes with another little reverse type thing. Then he goes back to the left, and that's when AP breaks one for a good game. You see Jay setting up a lot of things because of the personnel he has out there on the field. I expect them to set them up because I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to watch the Colts game, but they're not that solid defensively, especially in the secondary. Their defensive line is just nowhere near. They're not facing nowhere near the defense or the tenacity that the Cardinals have. So, with that being said, I expect them to try to do what they have been doing because the less they can show, and if they can win that way, the further and further you can get in the weeks and start throwing some things out with some of the teams, especially in your own division, that you really want to try to beat. But I expect them to do that defensively. Andrew Luck looks good, but again, other than T.Y. Hilton, you may need somebody that scares you. If I'm a defensive coordinator with the secondary that they have, the youth, the speed, the smarts, and Dunbar, I'm not that concerned. So you saw Luck try to do some things. His ability to get the ball to Ebron was great. And he's going to be a reliable target for them. But outside of T.Y., I mean, there's not a lot of concern. And that's not saying you overlook this team because it's still Andrew Luck and he can still light you up. But the bottom line is if you look at what the Redskins did on Sunday, you look at what the Colts did on Sunday, it definitely is a game that the Redskins should win, especially with what many hope is a hostile environment at FedEx Field. So home game, they understand that they got to go back to work. I think that's something that was a little different with the team. Guys like Ryan Kerrigan have always been one way, but you see there's a real professionalism with this team. They may have been excited on the plane ride, but it was understanding that that was yesterday, and today it's about the Colts. So they're not resting on their morals. It's nice that they were able to get a win, and they're definitely feeling good about getting a fast start. But this team's definitely focused on next week. So, again, with what they have produced so far and what people were able to see this past Sunday, it could be a very interesting game, and the Redskins could easily be in the same predicament as they were in Phoenix at home.
Yeah, I pretty much have it going the Redskins' way. The Colts, like you say, the defense isn't that strong. I feel like the Redskins' defense is going to be able to impose their will. The running game is going to get going to the fact where they're going to be able to play action pass and just basically play with the Colts until they feel like putting their foot on their throat and just ending the game. So I really think it's going to be a victory. I'm not saying any given Sunday any team can win, but the way this team looked, like they were business-like, went about their business and did it against Arizona, I don't see no reason why they can't do it again. Jason, we talked about it earlier. No, Dez Bryant is not getting signed here at all. That is not a consideration or anything. Robbie, yeah, we spoke about before we
reiterate that is not happening. Many people are reporting that. That's not just me. There's a lot of people. Redskins have come out and squashed that many times, and they did it again today. So that is an X-nay on Dez Bryant.
All right, thank you. Then Robbie, yeah, we spoke about the pick six by Darno before we got in the Redskins talk when we were talking about the Jets game. They're actually still up 10-7 in the second quarter with 4 minutes and 37 seconds left in the second. The Lions just punted to them, I believe, or just received the punt. No, Stafford, he's limping. I don't know what happened, but we don't care because it ain't Redskins. Let's see, Allison said she was very impressed by the change that she's seeing in the team. That's true. Brian, yeah, we do got to see Ryan Grant with the Colts. He actually had a couple of catches yesterday. I always liked him. I didn't like the fact that, he wasn't back here, but he's a quality NFL wide receiver that's, going to be around for a while. He's one of those guys that just go about his business, catch the ball, and, do what he's supposed to do. So it's definitely going to be a good game. Not looking ahead, looking past them, but the Redskins should be 2-0 after next week, going into week 3 of the season versus Green Bay. And we saw what that man did last night to Chicago, coming back like Willis Reed and taking their soul with a 78-yard pass to Randall Cobb to win the game at the end. So, need these 2 games to get some momentum to go into that game versus Green Bay because, Aaron Rodgers is going to be out there ready to try to take the Redskins apart like he did the Bears.
My only concern with this game is that the Redskins come out in the third quarter, and I like to see them score. That may just be me, and I know a lot of other media members also felt the same way that another score, another touchdown, whatever, would have been the touchdown would have definitely been a dagger in the heart. I think that's something that they need to do because they haven't yet shown it under Jay to be able to consistently put guys away. But again, you also flip that and say, hey, they did run the ball. They very well. Didn't give them a consistently solid field position, and the defense did their job. So there's many ways you can look at it, and that may be nitpicking it a bit, but I'm sure, especially against these teams like Bay and the Giants, Eagles, you want to be able to come out if you have a lead like that in the third quarter or sometime in that quarter and put up maybe at least 2 scores, but definitely a touchdown in that area to be able to really seal the deal.
Yeah, you got to get touchdowns. I mean, it was up 21-0, 24-0. 24-6. Still a victory, but like you say, you want to see that killer instinct, that mentality that, yeah, I'm going to put my foot on your throat, even though I don't have to. I am, just because I know I can. And that's the next step that I'm waiting for to see from this team, is that killer instinct. You see it on the defense where, they want to impose their will and they want to, knock the ball loose and everything, but you want that from your offense too, to say, you know what, let's just go out here and run the score up on these boys just because we can. And that's the next step for this team. Allison, you're talking about faking an injury. I guess you're talking about Luck. It's a lot of stuff. They're saying that he supposedly hurt his shoulder on some snowboarding accident that he didn't report or something. I don't really know. I don't really care. All I know is I want our linebackers and DL to be all over his butt come Sunday till he feel like he's back on that snowboarding accident or whatever he had. So all I'm worried about is the Redskins getting another victory, going out there winning convincingly and playing some solid defense and not making any mistakes. And that's one thing we can say in this game. Besides the penalties, which are going to happen early in the season, the Redskins didn't make any mistakes this game. And that's rare that we've been able to say that in the early season with this team. So, as I said, we want to give Jay some kudos before we get out of here, because I know I've been one of his toughest critics. But I got to take my hat off to him yesterday. Play calling, sticking with the run, mixing up his play calls. It was a pleasant sight to see of him coaching, especially the way he made the statement towards the end of last year that he had regressed as a coach. I was about ready to smack the hell out of him when he said that. But I feel like he coached a hell of a game yesterday, and he's definitely going to have to coach another one upcoming on Sunday. What do you got to say about Jay? You've always been more open-minded towards Jay than I have. So what did you take away from his game plan, his play calling, and his whole scheme for this game against the Cardinals?
Like I said, coming in this year, Jay knew he had to run and be able to run the football if he wants to be able to throw it the way he wants to, especially having a underrated but very savvy quarterback in Alex Smith. And that's why they went out and got Geis. When Geis went down, they understood they had to get someone else that brought that type of what they felt, that type of running style, if not more. So I thought Jay did an excellent job. Again, taking what the defense was given. You saw a few times in the third quarter them try a few things, and that's totally okay. Sometimes I call it, I kind of like it to drag racing, where you have a lead or you have, whether it's points lead or whether you have the cushion to do it because you're qualified extremely well. You go out and you maybe see what the track will hold. Well, there's times that Jay saw some things and they saw some things as a collective group, and Jay went out and just to see what would transpire, whether they could get it off or not. And I'm sure some of those things happened, and you saw in the third quarter where they kind of got discombobulated a little bit, and it didn't help that they were backed up against their own end zone, but you saw him get discombobulated a little bit. He reeled it back in, got back to what was working for them early, and what was setting up those little passing lanes and the different things they were able to do in the passing game. So I thought Jay did an excellent job, and I think the personnel allows him, and the quarterback allows him to be able to do some of the things that he would like to do on the creative side. I don't think people really realize how
can give you that. I've studied Jay. He does have some interesting philosophies, but I want to see it translate on the field. And yesterday it did. So like I said, all I can do is take my hat off to him, and hopefully he continues this trend throughout the season. But it's 8:30. I think we pretty much covered this Victory Monday. Pretty much broke down the Colts game. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and chiming in. You know, DujunneaB got articles to write. I got videos and stuff to put together. So with it being a slower time of year, we're going to go ahead and celebrate this Victory Monday. We got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. You got the Jets up right now, 10-7. You got the second game, the LA Rams versus the Oakland Raiders, with John Gruden making his return to coaching, which he should have never went back to or got in the first place. But that's for another show here or there. But that's all I got to say. I don't want to get on my tirade. I'm ready to get out of here. But DujunneaB, as always, I appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and end this Facebook Live feed. Make sure y'all check out our post games after every Redskins game. Win, lose, or draw. I'm going to try to get the pre-games out there also. But like I say, scheduling conflicts, stuff happens. But appreciate y'all tuning in. Jason, no problem. Thanks for chiming in. Allison, you have a good night. Hail to the Redskins. And I'll check you next time.